Good afternoon, everyone. Can you guys hear me well? Is my voice clear? Okay, great. We'll just wait, let's say 2 to 3 minutes until everybody comes, and then we'll start with chapter number 9. Now, as you can see, chapter number 8 is not required from you, so it's omitted. We'll start immediately with chapter number 9. Now, before we start, did you guys take a look at the TMA that was posted on LMS? Does anyone have any questions? Any questions about the TMA? Okay, now if you go back to the TMA, you will see that, where is it? Let's see. Now, one part of the TMA, part 1 of the TMA is actually asking you to write a process essay. Now, the process essay is what we will be discussing today. Okay, now I know that I went very quickly through this last week, so I'll just go through it again. Remember that you have to do 2 things for each part. You have to do the outline of the essay, which is this, and then you will fill out the actual essay. Now, an outline basically means, if you can remember the hamburger organizer that we did, this is kind of the same. So first you break down your essay here, and then you put it all together in one whole block, or in one whole essay. Okay, so 2 marks for the outline or the organizer and 8 marks for the entire essay. Okay, that will be 10. So of course the first one is going to be a process essay. Choose whatever topic you want to talk about or you want to write about. That's totally up to you. Okay, as long as the topic, like, you feel that it has steps, it has a beginning, it has an end. Okay, like for example, how to stay healthy, how to fix a car, how to, let's say, build a house, something like that. I'm just giving you examples, but something like that, where it has a process. Okay, this is for the first part. For the second part, remember, you have to write an argumentative or persuasive essay, which we'll be discussing next week. Okay, again, the same thing. You have to fill out the outline or the organizer here, the outline, let's say, and then you will write your essay here. Okay, in the end, remember, we have the rubric at the end of the essay. I will be assessing your essay based on this rubric in front of you. So look at this rubric like a checklist for you. So for example, when you finish writing, just go over it yourself. Imagine that you're assessing yourself. So for example, does it capture the reader's attention? If you have a hook, or if you have a hook statement, done, just tick it. Does it provide background knowledge? Check your essays. Does it have that? If it does, okay. Can you hear me now? Am I back on? Okay, great. So any questions about the TMA? Of course, you can go ahead and start reading the chapters yourself and trying to work on it. You have 1 month to do it. The submission will be sometime around May. Okay, so basically you have 1 whole month to do it. For the midterm exam, I have no idea yet, Rafael. They haven't informed us yet, but basically, yes, everything that we covered before the midterm. Let me see if I have the calendar here. Now, they haven't informed us yet, but once they do, I'll let you know. But let's see if there's a calendar here. perhaps I might be able to tell you what's included before the midterm. Okay, so let's see. No, chapter 9, no. Okay, now your midterm is supposedly, it should be after chapter 9. So basically everything that we covered, like you said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9, they are all included in the midterm. Okay, so up until today's class, and then we have the midterm. Now, again, remember, your midterm is going to have 3 parts: a writing focus, where you will be, you may be asked to analyze an essay, and for example, break it down. So where is the thesis statement? Where is the hook? Where is the topic sentence in the essay? Or they can ask you to write an essay on your own, or they can ask you to write an essay, or they can ask you to analyze an essay. Number 2, you have the outlining section where you plan an essay question by filling in the graphic organizer. The graphic organizer is going to be something like this. This is kind of a graphic organizer. Number 3, you have a writing section. Students transfer the previous outline into full sentences to write a 4-paragraph essay on process. So basically, this is what we will be discussing today. Okay, 3 parts. Any questions about the midterm? Now, of course, this is just like, this is not official because I have no idea how the take-home exam is going to look like. Perhaps because it's going to be a take-home, so they might change something about it. I have no idea, but so far, this is what I know. Okay, and because, again, because we're supposed to, because the MTA comes after chapter 9, so keep in mind that everything from chapter number 1 until chapter number 9, everything that we discussed from the first class up until today are included in the midterm. Any questions so far? Now, everything that you need to know about the midterm or the take-home exam is going to be posted on LMS, and I'll explain it to you as well. Don't worry. Let me just close everything here because it's slow. Okay, any questions so far about the TMA or the MTA, or we're good? Okay, now let's start with chapter number 9. Now, chapter number 9, you're most welcome, Raphael. Now, chapter number 9 is on how to write a process essay. Okay, now let's think about the word process. What do I mean by a process? What do I mean by a process? Okay, steps. What else? How can you define process? Instructions, perhaps. What else? What else do you think? How to do something, exactly. Now, basically, process is a series of events or steps that are orderly and predictable. So, for example, let me just give you a simple example how to, let's say, how to open your books, as simple as that. So you will say, first of all, you will have to bring the book. Second of all, you will have to turn the pages of the book or turn the cover. Third of all, you will go to the page that you want to. And in the end, this is how, and in the end, you conclude with your final step. So basically, anything that has steps or a series of events, okay? Sometimes it's instructions on how to do something. Sometimes it's basically describing something that has a beginning and an end, okay? Now, of course, remember the outline of chapter number 9, just like any other chapter, there's a vocabulary part, a writing focus, structure mechanics, and the writing assignment that we do every week. Now, because we don't have time to cover the vocabulary part, you can do it at home. You can do it on your own. We will be focusing on, we will immediately go for the writing part of the chapter. Okay? Okay. Now, ignore this. Let's go to the definition of process. Now, like you said earlier, a process is a series of events or steps that are orderly and predictable. You can describe a process either in the past, for example, when you talk about how something happened. You can talk about a process in the present, how something works, or you can talk about something in the future, how to do something. Okay, it doesn't always have to be instructions. Sometimes it's just analysis of something. Okay, now there's something called here a process analysis essay. So basically, in this case, what are you doing? Number one, you're describing the process, which is the movement or the step-by-step movement from the beginning to the ending point, and you are also analyzing it. So a careful examination, a close, detailed look at something. Okay, so both of them, the analysis is coming into the process all together. All right, now don't think too much, don't focus too much on the terms, just focus on the part that a process essay has to have steps. Okay, all right, now a process essay, like we said earlier, it describes the steps or stages in the change of something into something else. I know that sometimes it could be instructions, sometimes it could be steps, but sometimes it can also be showing you the stages that something is changing from something to something else. Okay, now remember, the most important thing about the process essay is that it works in a chronological order. Now, when we say chronological order, it means that it has a first step, second step, third step, a fourth step, a fourth step, until it reaches the final step, whether it was a step, whether it was, let's say, a stage, whatever it is, it has to move in a chronological order. Okay? Any questions so far? Okay, now there are two types of process essays. There's a directional type, which provides you instructions on how to do something. There's the informational type, which tells you how something works, how something is made, or how something occurred. Okay, so directional is just like what you said earlier, instructions. Informational is telling you how something works. Okay, now directional, as simple as that. See, for example, if you buy a new, let's say, a new lotion or a cream. Now, if you turn the lotion at the back, you will see that there is instruction for using. So they will tell you that, for example, first you do that, second you do that, third you do that, fourth you do that. This is what I mean by directional. It's telling you, it's providing you with instructions on how to do something. Informational is just basically defining how something works. Okay, telling you about the process of how something works. Any questions so far? All right, great. Now let's look at the examples that we have here. For example, if you have an essay question like how to succeed in university. Now, this is an example of a process essay. Now, a typical thesis statement for this case would be, students can be successful in university by being on time for class, keeping an assignment notebook, and managing their time. Now, is this directional or informational? Look at this. Is it directional or informational? Now, remember what we said earlier about directional and informational? Okay, now think about this for a minute and tell me, why would you say it's directional and why would you say it's informational? Take a minute to think about it. Don't write your answers. I'll tell you when to write your answers. Think about it. So why would you say this is directional, not informational? Why do you think that? If you say it's directional, tell me why. It's not something new. Now, informational doesn't have to necessarily talk about something new. If it's informational, it doesn't have to be something new. What do you think? Is it directional again or informational? Okay. It provides, they mention directions and instructions, provided instructions on how to be successful. Do you all agree that this is directional, not informational? Do you all agree that this is directional? Okay, good. Let's go to the next one. Another example for an essay question in a process, for another example for a process essay question would be explain how university students spend their time. Now, a thesis statement in this case would be the life of the typical university student is characterized by time spent studying, attending class, and socializing with peers. Okay, now let's think about this. Would you say it's directional, it's providing instructions, or informational, it's telling you how something is happening? Why would you say it's informational? Okay, they're giving you information. What else? Why is this informational? It's not a set of instructions, exactly. It's basically just analyzing something or explaining something, describing it. Exactly. Let's look at the third example we have here. Explain how to get a better job. Getting a better job can be achieved by finishing university, preparing a resume, and then searching for jobs. Now, is this informational or directional? And why? Okay, tell me, why do you think it's directional and why do you think it's informational? Why did you choose to say that this is directional or informational? Let's see. Fatma, what are you saying? Let's say Fatma is saying it's directional because it gives you the right instructions to get a better job. Amal, all of the process essays, they have the transition words, the chronological transition words such as then. Okay, let's see. Informational because it's a fact. Again, no, not really. It's not talking about facts, it's just talking about steps. Okay, you have to settle on one answer. If you say it's directional, it's providing you with instructions. If you say it's informational, it's telling you how something works, how something is made, and how something occurred. Now, is this giving you instructions or is it telling you how something works? So what do you think? I still have different answers. Some of you are saying it's instructional and some of you are saying it's informational. Okay, I would say it's not instructional. I would say it's informational because basically it's telling you how something works. It's not giving you instructions. It's not giving you, let's say, specific information about how to do something. It's just telling you how something works. So in order for you to get a better job, first you have to finish university, then you have to prepare your resume and then search for a job. I would also agree that this is an informational essay. Okay, any questions so far? Now, this is not giving you specific information on how to do something. It's just telling you how something works. So in order for you to get a better job, this is what you have to do. Okay? Now, let's go to the organization of the process essay. Now, for the process essay, remember, it all depends on what you want to write. So if you can go to page number 116 of your books, you will see that you have 3 ways to write your process essay. Now, in your books, if you can see on page number 116. Now, look at graphic organizer number 1. Now, this is telling you that basically you can have a process essay of only 3 paragraphs, an introductory paragraph, a long body paragraph, and a concluding paragraph. Now, this is one way to do it. It all depends on how much you have to say about the topic or how much you have to say how much do you have to say about the topic of your choice. Okay, so it can be done in this way. You can have just an introductory paragraph, one long body paragraph, and a concluding paragraph. Okay, this is totally up to you. Sometimes what you can do is you can have more than one body paragraph. So let's say, for example, look at graphic organizer number 2 here. You have an introductory paragraph with a thesis statement. This is one paragraph. You have the first paragraph in your body, which is basically the components, tools, and equipment that you need, for example. And then you have the second body paragraph where you explain your steps. And then in the end, you have a concluding paragraph where you conclude your essay. Okay, now look at graphic organizer number 3 here on page number 1117. If you want to do it this way, it's totally up to you. You can have an introductory paragraph. You can have the first paragraph of the body where you explain what you need exactly. And then for the rest of the body paragraphs, you explain your steps. So you take every step and let's say dedicate one whole paragraph to it until you will have your concluding paragraph. The organization of your essay, it's totally up to you. Okay, you can, like, for example, gather all the steps in one paragraph, or you can divide the steps into several paragraphs. It's totally up to you. Okay, any questions so far? All right, great. Now let's go to analyzing and doing some practice. Now let's go to page number 1117, or sorry, 1119 of your essay. You can see here it says model essay number 2. Okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to read the essay here, and I want you to first answer the questions that you have here. If you see it at the top, look at the thesis statement of model essay number 2. Does it have a clear topic? Does it have a controlling idea? And does it have predictors? Yes or no? How many steps are there in this process? I want you to work on model essay number 2. Okay, and then in the end, I want you to fill out this graphic organizer on model essay number 2. So for example, in the introductory paragraph, find out where the opening or the hook is, give me the thesis, and then the body paragraphs, give me the topic sentences, and fill out the concluding paragraph. Where is the restatement and where is the final comment? Okay, take 5 minutes to do it. Raphael, the best format to use when you are writing your process essay, number one, it's totally up to you how much you want to write. So for example, if you feel like you can write 2-3 paragraphs just describing the steps, you can go ahead. If you want to divide your steps into paragraphs, you can go ahead and do that. Or if you want to make it simple, for example, you can just go for the introductory, the long body paragraph, and the concluding paragraph. It's totally up to you. Sometimes this doesn't apply. Sometimes in the test, they will ask you to have 4-paragraph essay, for example, or they will tell you that you should write a minimum of 4, a maximum of 5, for example. So it's based on what you want, or if the question like is specifying what they want, you have to go by their essay question. Make sense? You're welcome. Okay, are you guys done? Okay, great. Now let's look at the thesis statement and model essay number 2. What is the thesis statement? Good. According to my friend's explanation, there are 4 stages of cultural adjustment. Now let's analyze it. Does it have a clear topic? What is the topic of the thesis statement here? What is the topic? What do you think? Yep, cultural adjustment is the topic. Does it have a controlling idea? Does it have a controlling idea? Okay, there are 4 stages of cultural adjustment. Good. This is the controlling idea. What about predictor? Does it have a predictor? Can you see the predictor? Are you sure? Exactly. I would say that 4 stages, it's the predictor in this case because basically it's telling you that it's going to have, or the body is going to have 4 stages that the writer will talk about. Okay, so I believe that yes, there is a predictor in this case because basically you know that you know exactly how many stages you will be reading about, right? Remember what we said about predictors? They basically they're telling you, or they give you hints about the content of the essay. Now, in this case, you have 4 stages of cultural adjustment. When they say 4 stages, it means that they will be explaining about 4 steps. Okay, now let's fill out the graphic organizer that we have here. Okay, now number 1, what is the opening or the hook? Look at the introductory paragraph. Where is the introduction, or sorry, where's the opening or the hook? Exactly. The first sentence, and then the thesis statement is just like what we said. Now let's go to the stages. Let's go to the body paragraph. Now, of course, where is it? Okay, now the topic sentences for the body paragraphs because they have collected them all in one paragraph, so it will be basically the first sentence that is explaining the steps. So the first thing that she talks about, or the first stage, she starts with. So stage number 1 starts where? Exactly. Initially, you feel happy in the new environment. Okay, now this is stage number 1. The second stage, where does it start? Exactly. The second stage is a bit obvious. It says the second stage comes very quickly. What about the third stage? What about the third stage? Exactly. Well, it says exactly. If I could just hold on and survive this cultural shock, period. She said I would arrive at the next stage, which is acceptance. And this is where she enters the third stage. And the fourth one would be? The fourth one would be? Exactly. However, she said that there was a fourth stage, which she called the at-home stage. Okay, now the most important thing that you need to know here is when you're going or when you're moving from one stage to another or one step to another, it's very important that you use the transitional words that's telling the reader that I am done with number one, I'm going to number two. I'm done with number two, I'm going to number three. Now, this writing is a bit, let's say, advanced, but if you want to start your sentences with, if you want to begin your sentences with the transitional words, that's totally fine, and it's actually it will be less likely for you to make mistakes in them. Okay, if you don't want to make it or if you don't want to write it this way. Okay, now let's go to the concluding paragraph. Now, what is the where is the restatement of the thesis statement here? Exactly. To sum up, the four stages of cultural adjustment made a lot of sense to me, and I have passed through everyone. This is the restatement of the thesis statement. Okay, where is her comment? Her final comment. Exactly. Kind of all the rest is the final comment. Okay, now we talked about the thesis statement. It has a clear topic, it has a controlling idea, it has predictors. Now, how many steps did she include here? How many steps did they talk about in the culture shock essay? 4 steps. Now, which organizational pattern is used in the essay? Did she have introductory long body paragraph concluding or introductory 2 body paragraphs concluding? What did she have? No, think about the organizational pattern. The organizational pattern. Look at her essay. How many paragraphs did she have? Okay. She chose the first thing we talked about, which was, let's say, the body long. What do you mean? Number one, yeah. Remember when if you go back to if you go back to page number 116, she followed graphic organizer number one, the first example. She had an introductory paragraph, she had a long body paragraph, and one concluding paragraph. Okay, so her steps basically were squeezed into one long body paragraph. Any questions so far? Any questions so far, or is it clear? Great. Okay, now let's go to practice number 3, where we have to analyze another essay. Now, look at essay 3, which is model number 3. Where is it? How to gain 50 pounds. Okay, now what I want you to do is again answer these questions about the thesis statement. Does it have a clear topic, controlling ID, and a predictor? How many steps are in the process? And which is the last question? Which organizational pattern is used in this essay? Look at essay number 3 and tell me about it. Okay, are you guys done? Okay, 2 more minutes and we'll start analyzing it. Okay, done, guys? All right, now let's look at model essay number 3. Now, what is the thesis statement in this case? Which one is the thesis statement here? Do you all agree? Okay, good. Now, the thesis statement is, it's not difficult to gain weight if you follow these steps. Now, what is the topic here? What is the topic? Gaining weight. Good. And what is the controlling? Is there a controlling idea? Is there a controlling idea to it? Following these steps. You know what? If we go back to essay number 2, I think it didn't have a controlling idea, because the controlling idea is basically telling you the direction of the writer, whether they're going to say something good, for example, or bad. Now, I think in model essay number 2, it's only an explanation. There's no controlling idea here. Now, look at essay number 3. It's not difficult to gain weight if you follow these steps. What is the controlling idea here? So what do you think the writer is going to say about gaining weight? Now, gaining weight is the topic. I would also say it's not difficult. Yes, Emil. I think that the controlling idea here is that the writer is telling you it's not difficult. So the thing they are going to be talking about, or the topic of gaining weight, is not difficult. Okay, so we have a clear topic, we have a controlling idea. Do we have predictors? Are you sure? Do we have predictors? In the next paragraph, Amal, the predictor in the thesis statement. We are just statements right now. Let me show you. I only want you to analyze this statement. Does it have predictors? Now, it has the topic is gain weight, the controlling idea that it's not difficult to gain weight. Now, does it have predictors? No, it doesn't, because it only says follow these steps. Is it telling you 1, 2, 3, or 4 steps? It's not telling you. Can you predict how many body paragraphs you're going to have based on this thesis statement? No, exactly. So it doesn't have any predictors. Okay, now let's look at the organizational pattern that they are using in this case. Before, in model essay number 2, we had an introductory paragraph, a long body paragraph, and a conclusion. Now, what about this one? What did the writer, or what has the writer done in this case? Look at the first paragraph of the essay. What is this? The first paragraph. When we are born, it's the introductory paragraph. Good. Let's look at paragraph number 2 of the essay. You only need 2 ingredients to gain weight. Now, this is body paragraph number 1. So what does it include basically? It has all the components, tools, equipment, or ingredients. Good. Did they talk about the steps in the first body paragraph? Are there any steps? No. Okay. So where do they have the steps? Where do they begin with the steps? Where does it begin? Or where does it start? Paragraph number 3. Good. Can you see the first step in the process of gaining weight is to decrease your daily level of activities and so on. Okay, now this is step number 1. Where is step number 2? Exactly. The first step, this is number 1. Next, we go to secondly, you need to consume as many calories as you can. Is there a third step? Are you sure? Is it just 2 steps?
Finally, make sure to drink.
Exactly. And the third step is finally make sure to drink a lot of sugary soft drinks with your meal. Okay, so it has 3 steps in this case. Okay, now the first body paragraph is basically telling you about the ingredients that you need. The second body paragraph is telling you about the steps. And the last paragraph is the last paragraph is obviously the concluding paragraph. Okay, now let's look at the concluding paragraph. Where is the restatement of the thesis statement? Which sentence is it? Now, the thesis statement says it's not difficult to gain weight if you follow these steps. Exactly. The restatement of the thesis statement is the last sentence in the concluding paragraph, which says, by following these steps, I promise you can gain 50 pounds in a year. Okay? And the final comment is, of course, as you can see, gaining weight is easy. Now, does it make sense? So far, we have analyzed 2 types of process essays, one of them with a long body paragraph, one of them with 2 body paragraphs. Any questions so far? Any questions? Does anyone have any questions before we move on? Okay, good. Now, don't think about the definition of the process essay. Don't think about, let's say, the don't think about the, let's say, what we talked about in the beginning about how to, let's say, differentiate between a directional and informational process essay. Just consider the main idea of writing a process essay. So basically what we conclude in this case is A process essay is describing steps, is giving you instructions on, or it's talking about stages. Basically, anything that has a beginning and has an end. You have to start it with the first step, or it has to start with the first step and it has to end. Okay, now for a process essay, you cannot just leave it open. You have to conclude it with a final step or a final stage. How you write your process essay, it's up to you. You can have an introductory paragraph, a long a body paragraph, and a conclusion. So a total of 3 paragraphs in your essay, up to you. You can have an introductory paragraph, a descriptive paragraph where you're talking about what you need, or the ingredients that you will need, the tools, the equipment, whatever it is that you will need, and then you talk about the steps in 1 paragraph, and then you conclude it with a concluding paragraph. It's totally up to you. If you want to separate your steps, so instead of writing each step, let's say instead of having the steps all together in 1 paragraph, let's say you have 3 steps and you want to divide them on 3 different paragraphs, it's also totally up to you, as long as you follow all these paragraph writing guidelines that we talked about before in our previous classes. Any questions so far? Okay, now this is what you have to do for your TMA. The first part of your TMA, the assignment that you have is you have to write a process essay. Okay, now let me just take a look again at the, let me just take a look, 1 minute. Now let's look at your assignment. Now when it says process essay, now what they want you to do in your assignment is they want you to have 2 body paragraphs. So avoid writing the simple one. You will have to have 2 body paragraphs. First, you will have your introductory paragraph with a hook and a thesis statement. This is your introductory paragraph, and then you will have the topic sentence for your first body paragraph, and then the major supporting details. So of course, in here you will be writing about, let's say, for example, if you need tools or equipments or ingredients or whatever, basically define what you need before initiating the process essay, or before initiating the process that you are going to be talking about. So for example, if you want to talk about how to make a good pasta, okay, so the first body paragraph is going to be about what you will need to do, or what you will need to do or to cook a great pasta. Okay, and then your second body paragraph is going to be the steps. Okay, now of course for the topic sentence, we're not going to have a topic sentence in this case, but basically what you will use, or the sentence that you will use to identify each stage. So for example, if you say initially we need that, second we need this, third we need that, fourth we need this, this is going to be your topic sentence for the body paragraph. Okay, and then finally you will need your concluding paragraph where you restate your thesis statement, you add your final comment. Okay, any questions so far? Remember, for your essay you're going to have 4 paragraphs: introductory paragraph, definite prescriptive paragraph where you talk about what you need, the process paragraph where you talk about the steps or the stages, and then the concluding paragraph. Any questions? Okay, one last time, your TMA is requiring you to write 4 paragraphs: introductory, describing what you need, tools, equipment, ingredients. The third paragraph is going to be the process, and the fourth paragraph is going to be the concluding paragraph. Okay. All right. Now let's go back to our lesson. Oh God, sorry. Okay, we did all that. We are done with this. So basically your assignment is asking you to write an essay similar to model essay number 3. Look at page number 120, model essay number 3. Your assignment should look something like this. Okay? All clear? Okay, great. All right, now leave this. Let's go to the structure and mechanics part of your chapter. Now, remember, the structure and mechanics is basically telling you how you're going to be writing your essay, paragraphs, whatever it is. Now, we've talked about connectors in the previous chapters. We talked about conjunctions. We talked about prepositions. We've talked about transitions. Now, remember, in the process essay, because it's describing a process, because it's describing steps, you definitely need to have transitional words where you have to explain that this is the first thing that you do. This is the second thing. This is the third thing. This is the fourth thing. Now, of course, it doesn't always have to be first, second, third, fourth. There are different connectors to show process. Okay. Now, in here, in chapter number 9, it's basically, let's say, summarizing everything that we talked about in the previous chapters and telling us how to use it in this case. Now, as you can see in front of you here, chronological connectors are, let's say, words or signs that connect ideas together in a text. In our case, in a process paragraph, they're telling us what comes first, what comes second, what comes next, what comes after. Okay, until we reach the final steps. Now, like we said, or like I said earlier, there are several types of connectors. There are, if you can go back to your books on page number 122, you will see that we have different types of chronological connectors. We have transitions. Now, transitions are basically, they connect to independent clauses. For example, you have first, second, next, then, after that, at this point, later on, and then finally. For example, you have here Sue played basketball, full stop. After that, she played tennis. Okay, so in this case, we have two independent clauses or two independent sentences, but there's a connection between them by using the transition word after that. Okay, now keep in mind, these are all talking about time. Next, we have conjunctions such as coordinating conjunctions and subordinating conjunctions. Now, the subordinating conjunctions are usually those that introduce adverb clauses, such as after, before, since, when, or while. Okay, so these introduce adverb clauses. For example, after Sue played basketball, she played tennis. Or Sue played tennis after she played basketball. Okay, on the other hand, you have coordinating conjunctions. Now, coordinating conjunctions are basically, they connect two sentences together, such as you have a common linking word, in this case is and. An example that you have here is Sue played basketball and she played tennis. Okay, so you have two sentences connected with one word, which is the coordinating conjunction. In addition to that, you have a prepositions that can be used as chronological connectors. Now, prepositions could be something like after, before, in addition to, prior to, or since. Okay, so an example that you have here is after playing basketball, Sue played tennis. Or Sue played tennis after playing basketball. Now, don't think about the mechanics of, let's say, don't think about their definitions, but try to think about their uses. So when can I use them when I'm writing my paragraph, or how do I use them? Okay, now if you can see on page number 123 here, you have an exercise. You have 10 steps here describing the process of making scrambled eggs. Now, what I want you to do is, first, I want you to Now, where was I? Now, if you go to page number 123, you have the 10 steps and you have the transition words that you have to use for each step. So for example, the first sentence that you're going to write, you have to use first. The second sentence you will have to use next. The third one you will have to use after. Now, look at the 10 steps that we have here and try to organize them using the connectors that we have between the parentheses or in the parentheses. Okay, so let's look at, to make it easier here, let's look at sentence number 1. Which one would it be? What do you think the first sentence is going to be in this case? Oops, sorry. I apologize. I think it's already organized. Now all that we have to do is change these steps into a paragraph. Okay? So the 10 steps that you have here, just write them into a full paragraph. Okay? I'll give you 5 minutes to do that. Use the linking words or the transition or the connectors that you have in the parentheses only. Okay? Take 5 minutes to do so. Of course, don't forget to add commas where you have to. Okay, now let me just show you the answer. Now your answer should look something like, of course, these are the sentences. If you use the connectors that they've given you, your paragraph should look something like this. Okay, now remember to add the comma where you need to add it. All right, now check your answers. Your paragraph should look something like this. Any questions so far? Now, look at the note that's mentioned in your books. It says that note that the steps are in the imperative. When a subordinating conjunction is used, you will need to change the imperative verb. So in this case, you will use you as the subject and a present tense verb in the adverb clause. Remember, when you are describing a process, think about the tense that you are using. For example, if you're talking about something that already happened, you will use the past tense. If you're talking about something that you usually do, or something that, like, let's say, for example, a recipe, something that's regular, that doesn't change, in this case, you will use the present tense. And if you want to talk about something, let's say, for the future, if it has anything to do with the future, you will use the future tenses. Now, think about the consistency in writing your essays. Okay, think about the tenses, think about the sentence structures, think about the time and all that. Does anyone have any questions so far, or is it clear? Of course, remember, we're required to write an essay. This is just let's say, this is just practice on a paragraph level. Okay, but this will be helpful for you for the body paragraph of your essay. Okay, now let's go to our final exercise for today, practice number 6 on page number 124. 124. And here you have a paragraph, a process paragraph, but there are no commas. Okay, think about this paragraph and tell me, where do we add the commas? Okay, good. After, first of all, there's a comma. After, at this point, yes, there's a comma. This point I started on. Now, Rahaf, so if it's, let's say, if it's the beginning of the sentence, yes, you will have a comma, but in here, no, you don't need a comma. Okay, check your answers. There you go. Okay. Are you done, guys? All clear? Okay. Any questions before we move along? Okay, great. All right. Now, for your unit assignment, now, if you can look at your book where it says writing to communicate, you basically have 3 assignments to do. You have one where you have to write a process essay about or on how to stay physically healthy. You have one essay where it says how to stay physically healthy. You have one where it says that you have to write a paragraph or sorry, an essay about sports or games, considering the rules that they have for you. And you have the third one where you can write about a natural disaster. Okay, so basically you have 3 assignments for this unit. What I'm going to ask you to do is I want you to choose only one. Either write about how to stay physically healthy if you want, or write about sport or a game, or tell me about how to survive or prepare for a natural disaster. Now, of course, if you choose to write about how to stay physically healthy, you have the cue or you have the cues about what to write about. You have, does the food we eat matter? Does it matter when we eat it? What kind of exercise? How can we avoid illness? Okay, so if you can organize that in a process essay, go ahead and write about it. If you don't want that, you can go to writing about a sport or a game. Thinking about the equipment that you need, the rules of the game, and how do you win the game. If you don't want to write about that, you can talk about how to prepare and survive a natural disaster. Okay, I'm going to ask you to choose one of them. Choose one topic that you want to talk about, either staying healthy, a sport or a game, or surviving a disaster. Write a process essay about it, just like the one that's required from you for the TMA, and send it to me by Thursday for feedback. Remember, if you want to do it right now, and if you want to send it to me on Thursday for feedback, you can. If you want to write it and keep it aside for your portfolio at the end of the semester, you can also do that. Either ways, keep in mind that at some point I'll be taking it from you. Either on Thursday, if you want to get it over with and get feedback on your writing before doing your TMA, you can do that. Or you can write it and have it aside until I ask you to submit your portfolios. It's up to you. Am I clear? Does anyone have any questions, or was I clear? 3 topics, choose one. Write about it, send it to me on my email by Thursday, or have it with you for your portfolio. But remember, eventually you will write it. Can we use it for the TMA? Okay. Now, I'll ask Dr. Abdulrada about that because I don't know if your TMA, if the topic for your TMA is set or you have to choose it. But I think, yeah, you can do that. Yes. Any questions so far? 3 topics, choose one, write about it, send it to me on my email by Thursday if you want feedback. If not, have it, just have it ready for when you submit your portfolios. Any questions, guys, or should we conclude this session? Okay, great. If you need anything, you can just ask me on my email. If you miss anything, please tell your friends. The sessions are uploaded on LMS. They can always go back to LMS and go over the recorded session if they missed something. Okay, now let's go to the attendance. Zahra Abbas, Rafael, Islam, Farhan, Muhammad Hanif, Hajar Ibrahim Abdallah, four paragraphs. Rahaf, 4 paragraphs. Okay, Hajar موجودة. حوراء رضا, Ahmed Mahdi, Muhammad Isa. Yes, Fatma, your portfolio is out of 6%, I think. ندى غدي أو غادي, ندى موجودة. ندى, is it غادي? Am I right? زهرة خليل أحمد, زهرة سيد عدنان, أمل حسن أحمد, علي محمد علي, خديجة محمود, محمد خالد فتح الله, سهى, أمل ميرزا, ميساء جعفر, عبد العزيز علي عبد العزيز, محمد إبراهيم جمعة, سارة إبراهيم خليل, سارة إبراهيم, ولاء صلاح, زينب محمود وافد, صادق جعفر علي, حسن محمد حسن, منى مانع, فاطمة جابر, فاطمة سيد مهدي. Okay, did I miss anybody's name? Muna, Rahaf, yeah, I ticked you as I saw your name earlier. Okay, let me just, okay, now guys, I'm going to tell you something. I think next week our session is going to be from 4 to 8. Sorry. Next week we will start our session from 4 o'clock instead of 2 o'clock. Okay, so it will be, the session will start from 4 to 6 next week, just for EL117. Okay, next week 4 to 6. Any questions, guys? Any questions? Okay, you're welcome. Of course, the links will be sent to you and they will be posted on LMS, so don't worry. Okay. If that's it, remember, if you need anything, you can just email me. If you need feedback on your writing, please send it to me by Thursday, and I will reply to you on Sunday. Okay? So don't worry if I don't reply to you on the weekend. I'll definitely reply on Sunday. Okay? Okay. That's great. All right. Thank you, guys. Stay safe, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. You too.